coming up and it's getting water.
knee boots, and it was about coming over the top of them. There's no holding pond there. There's a ditch cut across the power company right away, going on to another piece of property that goes over to the railroad ditch. I don't know who cut that ditch across there, or how the power company let them do it, but it's there. The other drainage situation up on the hill, there's a manhole, should have a steel manhole cover on it, it's been gone for years. I don't know where that pipe goes, somewhere out on that power line. Over the years, not necessarily this council, but other board members has give concession after concession after concession to the family that owns this property, namely the original developer. I have no objection to somebody building houses on that place as long as it's decent housing and not duplex rental or what have you. I think, if I read right in the Call News, one of the items before this board is concession for a setback. Is that correct?
Yes, that's one of the
All right.
changes of R1 to 2.
If you grant that concession for a different setback than what the city code calls for, I think you're opening yourselves up to a storm. I think you're setting a precedent. I think it will come back and bite Satsuma, because there's a lot of people, one across the street from me, that has been through Hades over the years because of a porch. Through affidavits and what have you, we finally convinced people that that was the original porch, was that size, and it's grandfathered in. But there's nothing to keep people from coming back to you that have been denied these concessions. And I see no reason why the city of Satsuma could grant these concessions. Building houses, fine. If they can build them on the lot, fine. If they can't, because of the drainage or what have you in the back, that's tough. Somebody ought to have known that before they bought the property, which I understand was purchased years ago.
Okay.
Excuse me, let me read my notes.
Sure.
I think that's about it, with the exception of the street condition. I'm assuming that if a subdivision is built in that, and Satsuma will assume liability for the streets, is that correct?
Once this accepted and developed, the city
Okay.
would
Then
assume.
there's as many potholes in that street as there is out on Harley Road. So my thoughts are, and I didn't stick a hole in it because somebody's liable to sue me. I have a feeling, looking at it, walking on it, that the amount of blacktop on there does not meet your code. So y'all do what you want to do, but I'd be willing to bet you there's not a one of you sitting on this place that has gone and looked at that property. Same way with the planning board. So before you make a decision, I implore you to think about these things, think about this drainage. It's got to go somewhere. Where you think it's going when it hits that ditch out in the woods. Satsuma. So think about it before you make a decision, and don't just jump out there and grant this thing without knowing what you grant. And I got a sneaky feeling there ain't too many of you here that know what you're talking about with that piece of property. But I think if you'll go and look at it, you will see exactly what I've told you. And there's more. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Pearson, for coming up, and appreciate your comments. Anyone else like to come before the council tonight to say anything regarding the property? Ms. Lisa, would you step forward, please, and give your name and address and your comments, please? You can
Lisa
pull that down.
Ketchum,
There you go, how about that?
I don't want to follow me.
No, I don't think it will. There you go.
Thank you. Lisa Ketchum, 307 North Hummingbird. We were wondering what the actual plan of the subdivision would be if it is granted the R1 or R2. And I had the understanding that it had already been granted the setback. Is that true?
The setback in that area already has some homes sitting at, I think, even less than 25 feet. So the standard setback in Satsuma is 35 feet from the road.
Right, right.
In a R2, it doesn't require but 25 feet.
Okay. The proposed subdivision or however many houses that's going to be built in there or whatever the future is going to be for the property, will the citizens know anything about that prior to their approval? The plan?
Yes, a building inspector right there approves all building plans, and it will remain, I think is what you're asking, is it single-family residence?
Yes, is
to
it
be there?
single family?
That is correct, it will be. Well, there's the property owner, I shouldn't be speaking, that's what has been represented to us. Is that a fair answer, that that's what the plan is for single-family homes to be built there? And you understand that you will be responsible for drainage issues, and if anything is found out in the engineering reports that doesn't comply with city regulations or specs, that you would have to bring that to
The
our
city?
acceptance before it would be anything granted.
It's all currently being assessed so that it is a functional and a working neighborhood. So, yes.
Just for the record, you haven't really spoken or give your name as the, if you'd like to tell them who you are and your name and address, I think that's, would be more appropriate than me trying to.
Oh, okay. Let's make this work.
How about you just,
My name is Jay Prosh, 512 Shelton Beach Road. I am the property owner, and I appreciate the history lesson from Mr. Pearson. But this is different from the previous owner, and there are steps being taken to where this is functional and serves the city. And I think that getting the R1 to an R2 would provide bigger homes and allow us to do more with it. And so that is why we're here today, to try to get that and continue the process of getting this worked on and developed.
I think the fear from the planning board, and the council hasn't really said a lot about this, but the neighborhood, I really haven't received real opposition from people when we sit down and tell them that there's going to be family housing built there.
Right.
Sometimes rumors and things get out, and I'd like to clearly state, if anything fails in the engineering or study of it, we
Right.
will have to fix that before it's brought here. The R2 will allow you to make setbacks different and certain things like that. But we're still not allowing anything other than single-family residents to be in there.
Right.
And at no point have we ever, you've never brought it up, but just for our record, I would like for you to make sure you calm the fears of anybody there. And I think, as a developer, if we don't get the first few homes to get started that are really nice and something that would be pleasing to the neighborhood, then it's probably not going to be a successful development anyway. But
Yes, sir. That's very much understood. And that is the goal, and the only plan going forward with this.
does the council have any questions that they would like to present to Mr. Prosh? I mean, he's met up here with us several times to address concerns. He's come to the planning board on a couple of occasions to answer questions, and from the public and from regional planning, who helps us develop the regulations we have.
The answer to the question you asked, though, there hasn't been anything brought to us as far as for us to, a proposal or anything like that. Right now, we're just in the stage of rezoning it from the R1 to R2. And as we stated also, there's multiple areas in the city that's, like that. So setting a precedent,
I went and measured the ones over behind Robert E. Lee School in front. And one of the things that happens over time, as neighborhoods start to get older and deteriorate, people start not taking care of their property. We have one subdivision, the newer subdivision behind Robert E. Lee School. The people have already started parking down the roads. That's where they're parking. They're parking up in their front yards. It looks exactly like Pritchard. And so, the city is responsible for maintaining our city. And for us, it's an eyesore, and it's very upsetting that we have property that people are not responsible for keeping it clean. And we know that if emergency vehicles have to enter, there's no way to turn an emergency vehicle around in the circle that's on his property. So there are things to be addressed other than just the homes and the housing and that type of thing. There are lots of elderly people in that area. We have an obligation to keep those people safe and have emergency response that can respond without having to get people to pull their cars out of the road. So something needs to be addressed because people will build these homes that have one driveway, then they'll fill that up, then they fill the road up. That needs to be addressed up front. So,
I think that needs to be addressed citywide, though.
well,
That happens, about citywide, but the subdivision she's talking about, what you wind up seeing, you start seeing 4 cars at the house, there's not room for 2 cars. So they have to park it in the front yard or park it in the road, because they ain't got place to park it. The closer you bring it to the road, the less parking they have.
Yeah, I believe we already have the ordinance in place that forbids the parking in the streets. It just needs to be enforced, you know.
it's not being enforced,
But
and
I think that ordinance is already there, is what I'm saying.
the emergency response is a very important part.
I agree with you.
We have elderly people, disabled people, and if we have hurricanes, we have any of those weather events, we're gonna have a problem. So, we've got people on our street, they cannot walk. They're
What's your
very-
street?
North Hummingbird.
Okay.
And so when people start parking on the roads, they do not have access for emergency response. So that's an issue that needs to be addressed before, anything is finalized.
There's an ordinance, you're not supposed to park on the street.
If I'm not wrong, there's one, we can look and see, because I've always heard you couldn't park in the streets. Satsuma, and
I
we
don't
made
think
sure.
there's a city ordinance
the
there unless
driveways
it's,
were built for
unless it's
lots of
causing a
cars.
traffic hazard. If it's causing a traffic hazard, then there is.
Then you have a place for 2 cars. And if you got a kid, you're gonna have more than 2 cars. And they go park on the street, car park in the front yard.
Well, the ordinance doesn't forbid to park in the front yard. I can tell you that from experience.
It does.
It does not. It prevents
Okay.
motorhomes and boats from being in the front yard, but not cars.
Mr. Pearson, I think you had one other comment you'd asked to make.
Direct part of this to him and to y'all.
Okay.
Have you come up with an engineer and a plan? Have you drawn up plans for the houses that these people could look at?
We're not there yet. We're just trying to get it functional with handling a lot of concerns that you're worried about. We're trying to work that out, at this time.
Before they can make a decision, I would think at least an engineer survey of the property and an environmental workup on the property. Happen to that water. I'm sure since you own the property and, father, I believe, bought it to start with,
Thank you.
you've got a water problem back there, trust me. Big
Okay.
So these people can make a decision. Right.
Okay, thank all of you for your comments. If there's anything new or anyone else that would like to come forward, please do so. If not, it's a couple of minutes after 7 now, and it's the time for us to go into our regular council meeting. So I do appreciate y'all coming up and giving your comments. Thank you. Okay, I'd like to call the public hearing to a close, and if there's any comments the council would like to make or think about over the next few minutes, this is down the list later in the meeting for us to bring back up. Okay. I will now call the regular meeting of the Satsuma City Council to order for our regular meeting of June the 20th, 2023. I'd like to first welcome everybody coming to our meeting tonight, as we always do. We're going to start with the invocation. Tonight, we're going to ask Mr. Randy Little to lead us in the invocation. So in just a moment, we'll ask you to remove your hats. Please stand. If you have your cell phones, please remember to either turn them off or silence them. Please stand. Mr. Little.
Lord, thank you for the day you've given us today. We just thank you for the ones that's come out this evening. Just watch over us, Lord, as a mayor and council. Just give us the strength to make good decisions, Lord. Just bless us, watch over, and bless our nation, Lord. Be with our first responders. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Little. Jessica, give us a roll call, please.
Present.
Councilmember Butler.
Present.
Councilmember Shelton.
Present.
Councilmember Reese. Present. Councilmember Phillips.
Here.
Mayor Bartley.
Here. Please let the record reflect all being here, including the city clerk, the city attorney, the head of the police department, fire department, and public works attending. So the first thing is the agenda. Tonight, we did have an agenda that was given to you. We did add tree bids for H under items for discussion and consideration. So with that one add-on, I'd like a motion to, or I will entertain a motion to pass the agenda with that one addition or
So
correction.
moved.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Reese, seconded by Mr. Phillips to approve the agenda with the one add-on. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Moving on, approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of June the 6th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Skelton, seconded by Mr. Little to approve the minutes as distributed. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Okay, moving on. Recognitions. Tonight, we have no recognitions, so we'll move on to visitors. In our pre-council tonight, there were 3 people that came before the council, and the first was representatives of Satsuma softball, and they discussed some concerns regarding Wright Park and then some improvements that they would like to see made to the fields, also adding additional restrooms and possibly a second concession to the back, what we refer to as the back fields at the park. We have agreed to look over some of the plans that we have received back about 3 years ago, and perhaps in the near future, see about getting some bids on what it would cost to actually construct a facility back there to help and also do some repairs on the field, or at least the fencing. So if that's okay, we will get back with y'all on that. I've asked George to put that maybe for the second meeting in July. That gives him a month to try to get some numbers together. And then maybe we can discuss it further or even have a workshop on that. The second person was Ms. Presnall. She was wanting to make sure that we had on our city calendar March the 2nd for the Friends of Satsuma Schools. She was wanting to have the Swamp Fest again on that day. She is here, but I think that was the gist of her comments that she wanted. And Ms. Long, who was a candidate for circuit court clerk, came and spoke with us in pre-council and introduced herself and spoke for a few minutes. So I think all of those have now left, and that was all of those asking to come before the council in discussion. Is there anyone else that came in tonight that would like to approach or have any other concerns? Okay. Well, and we will move on into the mayor's report. Briefly tonight, in pre-council, I'd already discussed the main things. The first item that I wanted to bring to the council was really a pretty big item we've been working on for a number of years that actually kind of got started in the last administration, has been going for the 2.5 years of this administration, but that was the water and sewer expansion going to the west side of I-65. Jason and I attended a bid opening at the county courthouse. I think it was the 7th, wasn't it, Jason, we had? And there were 2 bids. We had several companies that showed up, but 2 of them did fill out the bid packages, and CLS, that was the company, I think, they were the low bid. The engineers have reviewed it, and they're asking the county commission at the next meeting to award the bid. It will then have to be approved by the state and also the Treasury Department. Hopefully those will be done rather quickly. And we're hoping to see it awarded early next month and maybe construction in the not-too-distant future. So we were really happy about that, and I was really surprised. I think we got at least a good price. So most of the people I've talked to have said they were really surprised that we were able to get it for that amount. So I did bring up that the last Thursday night, several of us attended a municipal dinner at the county and listened to some of the projects going on countywide. Very interesting. On the 11th, the Ladies Club in here in Satsuma had an event of lunching and singing, and quite a number of people there that day. So those of you who attended, that was a really nice day. Hopefully y'all keeping the momentum going, and I'd love to see that chapel completed too, and we can maybe wrap up Steel Creek and move to some other projects. Speaking of Steel Creek, we did mention earlier that these downpours that we've had has really kind of taxed our public works. Y'all probably seen them out. I think we've had somebody out 7 days a week for the last 2 or 3 weeks. It seems like trying to keep up with the limbs down and the complaints with the drainage. So the guys are working on it. We have had, Travis, I do think we were able to get SIS out once or twice, actually, to help us blow some of the culverts we've had complaints on and all, haven't we? Okay, good deal. So the guys are doing a good job, so I do appreciate that. The weather that we have had has affected the work at Steel Creek because we've had a lot of high water, rain, and it's just been very difficult to work in that environment. And but I did speak with Golden Mills and Kaywood today. They said hopefully, if the weather permitting, in the next couple of weeks, the punch list will be completed, and hopefully that project will be coming to completion. So I did thank Robbie and those guys for the work they've done. I think they've done a good job. I did mention to you that we are continuing to work on the street paving project that I've mentioned to y'all a couple of times. We actually have that out for bid now, and hopefully by the second meeting of July, we might have some prices in and let y'all know what we're looking at and a timetable to get that underway. I mentioned to the council, we discussed it, I don't guess we need to go back into a lot of discussion, but some drainage projects around on Gilbert, also on 3rd Street, where I think it might be a sizable project that I would like for us to work with the school board on and try to set something up to discuss an agreement that was made a few years ago regarding possibly adding another culvert and doing some work that would be required to put that in, maybe some head walls on both sides, and all in the council they agreed in pre-council to let's go ahead and pursue that. Reminded everyone that Sunday is the We Love Satsuma. Hopefully all of y'all will make it, and we're we're hoping that the weather will cooperate and make the event a very, very good event. Also, I would like to remind everybody, we have had some deaths of some of the, one of our long-term members, Ms. Dot Barnes, passed away a couple of weeks ago, and I wanted to bring that up. And also, a lady attended the church up here, Miss Wilkins, passed away. So if you see anybody in those families, and also one of our employees, Zach Lynn, I think lost his grandfather, Terry Lynn's father, last week. So if you see any of them, just pass that along. Other than that, everything else is going. I've got a couple things that we will go into executive session on tonight later, but we'll hold that to the end of the meeting. Other than that, that's all I have, and I will move on to public services with Mr. Little.
I didn't have much, Mayor. Just wanted to thank our guys. Was a holiday yesterday, but everybody's garbage did get picked up and trash run also. So thanks to the ones that did work. I think that's all, Mayor.
Yeah, you're right. I think y'all got that, the new knuckle boom. I think we've been having to run that old one, haven't we, the last week or two, Travis? So we got the newer one back today,
Yeah.
hopefully. Good.
And Travis was one of the ones that drove one of the trucks. So thanks.
Yeah. So we appreciate that. All right, thanks, Mr. Little. Moving on to public safety, Mr. Butler.
I don't have anything today, but also on July the 4th, we'll probably notice for the city, because on the 4th, that'll be a council meeting. So,
Okay, good point.
Yeah, I
so
had that.
we'll probably notice by then.
Yeah, I think it's been
forgot
moved to
about
the
it.
11th, right? So, yeah, we'll make sure we post that around that it will not be,
11th.
so everybody will know. Y'all remember I guess that'll put us, 3 weeks from tonight before we have to come back, was that? Correct? Okay, okay,
Break from you.
all right. Thank you for bringing that to our attention, Mr. Butler. Is it anything else, sir?
That's all I have.
Thank you.
Mayor.
Moving on to administration, Mr. Skelton.
I don't have anything.
All right, moving on to Parks and Recreation, Ms. Reese.
Yes, sir. Mr. Butler, you stole my thunder with that meeting thing, because I
You
noticed the
should
same
have
thing.
you should have told me.
Throw my pen at you. No, that's good. So it was brought to my attention that the tennis courts are messing up. And when I say messing up, they have, material is coming up off of the surfacing. And so I told Jessica, and she's reached out to the vendor, and you said he's going to come take a look this week. And hopefully we can get that resolved before it gets too bad, and definitely shouldn't be tearing up. We haven't had it quite a year yet, so we'll get that addressed as soon as we can. Also, I attended the annual library dinner meeting last Monday over at Chalkboard Kitchen, which I've never been there for dinner, but I encourage all of you to go because it was really good. But we talked about the budget and what they've got coming up for the year, and just kind of a recap for what happened last year. Got that information here if anybody wants to take a look. And then also, I had mentioned that I was going to ask the county for funding for the football program. Just as we had given funds, I had given a letter to Ms. Ludgood at the meeting on Thursday down at the Carnival Museum. So hopefully she'll be getting back to us and give us an answer if she'll be able to help that program or not. And, oh yeah, so the Parks Group, they were busy this week, picked up limbs and storm debris, and they also unloaded and set up the new tables and chairs at the community center. And I was given some pictures here of how nice it all looks. If you guys wanted to take a look, and I know we bought these just recently here. They've been delivered and set up, and they look really nice, and hopefully the word of mouth will get out of what a great facility it is, and people will rent it. And that's all.
Just remember also, I did say we did give the money for the football purchase of the equipment.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Last week.
Thank you so much for that, for providing them with some money so they can purchase equipment.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ms. Reese. Public Works, Mr. Phillips.
Mayor, as you said earlier, we were pretty strapped the last 2 weeks on account of the weather, but we still, Travis and the guys were still able to do a lot of work. Some of the things they did get accomplished, they weeded and cleaned ditches on Orchard, Bond, Timberland, Bayou, Fifth, 43, Old 43, Maple, Cherokee Park, Community Gardens, and Orange. We also repaired the drains on Cronova and Higgins Road. Of course, they cut grass whenever the weather permitted us to. And we also worked on the North Service Road, Highway 43, and the retention pond. And like I say, for the amount of rain we've had, we've really been strapped. And I'm sure the grass don't even look like we've cut it, as much rain we've having. But Travis, I do want to thank you and the guys for the work y'all have done, because I know it's been pretty wet out there. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. Okay, we're moving on down the list. Items for discussion and/or consideration. A is payment of the bills.
I make a motion, we pay the bills in the amount of $50,326.34.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Skelton, seconded by Mr. Phillips to pay the bills in the amount of $50,326.34. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. B, discussion and consideration of rezoning property at 5274 Hartley Road from an R1 to an R2.
Make that motion, Mayor.
I'll second.
A motion made by Mr. Little, seconded by Mr. Butler to approve the rezoning of the property from R1 to R2. Any discussion?
I'd like to just address a few of the comments we had in the public hearing. The first one, just so everybody's aware, this is just a formality right now. He's got to have our buy-in to do from the R1 to R2 before he can go in and spend the money to get the engineering done, all of that. I do this every day, and it's a process. And for him to go ahead and spend your $40,000 or $50,000, whatever it may be, to do all that engineering, he's got to get this done first. Otherwise, he goes and spends that money, it's gone, and then he comes up and presents this to us, and we don't do it. We're kind of got him strung out. So that's the formality that we're having to do tonight. So the next step is, if the council agrees to do that, is then he has to go out and get all of his studies done, his drainage reports, his engineering, street work, whatever's got to be done. That's got to go to George, which goes to the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission engineer reviews all the drainage calculations, all of that stuff. Then they make the recommendation, the engineer makes the recommendation to the council, to the Planning Commission, whether or not to accept it. Then the Planning Commission makes that decision. So it's not just the council agrees to go from R1 to R2 and it's just a done deal, he can build tomorrow. We're nowhere near that. We could be 6 months to a year, because I know how these engineering firms are, and they're backed up. And I just wanted to I hear the opposition, and I understand the concerns. Like I said, I do this every day. But, at the same time, there's a process that he has to go through to get the city what they need in order to say, yeah, we can do it, we'll take it over, or you can build on it and you're going to maintain the streets. We've seen that. We leave it private. There was concerns about parking on the street. That's stuff down the road that can be addressed in covenants. Covenants and restrictions can set that up to say, if you park on the street, you're going to get towed at 9 o'clock at night. Now, all that can be covered. So I just want to kind of ease some of the concerns that were down the road based on what we have to do here as a council tonight. And that's all I have.
Thank you for the explanation. I think that was hopefully explained and addressed some of your concerns. So I do appreciate it. Is there any other comments from the council regarding the matter? If it's not, I have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed.
Mayor, I'd like to abstain from the vote due to past business relations with the Proshes.
Okay, let it show Mr. Phillips abstaining from the vote on the matter. Okay. Matter passed. D, discussion and consideration of signing a contract with Taylor Generators to service the generators throughout the city. In earlier pre-council, Mr. Phillips wanted to make sure that other companies, that we did get prices from more than one company and that we were going with the best price. George, I think you can address that.
I have an estimate from Heritage Electric for the 4 generators in Creston. That would be the community center, public safety, city, public works, and city hall. They're all different sizes, but this is a yearly maintenance plan. They change the oil, all that good stuff every year. They were at $5,870 for the year. Taylor Generator does about 42 extra things. They also change belts and hoses every 3 years. And they came in at $3,520, which is a savings of, which is $2,350.
Okay.
That's the two.
Okay.
And just for the record, there is a generator down right now. I'm in the process of getting it fixed for the community center.
Make that a priority, please.
The generator has a leak and there's a gas leak, so we're working on that right now.
Proceed with the work. Thank you.
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
Okay. Motion made by Mr. Little and seconded by Mr. Skelton to proceed with the contract with Taylor Generator Services. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed. Okay. C, I think went past that, Mr. Skelton just pointed out. Discussion and consideration of purchasing an ad in the football program.
I make a motion to move.
Okay. Mr. Butler has made a motion to purchase an ad in the football program.
Which ad?
1,500.
An ad for $1,500 in the football program for the upcoming football season here at the high school.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Mr. Butler, seconded by Mr. Phillips to purchase the ad. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Going down to E now. Discussion and consideration of estimates for the library window sills to be replaced. We got some rot in the windows at the library, and we feel like we need to go ahead and probably get on that pretty quick because it's kind of a little worse than we had thought it was until we got in there and started looking at it. So in pre-council tonight, George brought some bids up that he had worked with Tiffany to a scope of work, and he recommended a low bidder. Who was the low bid?
Reed
George?
remodels,
Okay. Okay, so
That was the,
$13,350.
yep.
okay. All right, y'all have any other questions, or did we answer them earlier, or what's the comments or pleasure of the council on this matter?
I make a motion that we approve Reed remodels in the amount of $13,350 to rebuild caulk and paint window casings and trim on 34 windows, rebuild 2 large windows. That pricing includes materials and labor.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Reese, seconded by Mr. Little to go with the low bid that was just listed for Reed for the set amount. Is there any other discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed.
You know, I can't vote with that.
We got one abstained on that for, from Mr. Butler regarding the library. We had ELF, and I asked the council to table that. I think we got ahead of ourselves tonight by listing this on the agenda. ELF, discussion and consideration of an estimate regarding painting City Hall. We're going to try to work on that and get some more estimates in and actually have a scope of work listed for y'all to look over so you can see that and the comments from the bids that we receive. So I know we're putting a lot for the second meeting in July, but do you think you could make it for the second meeting in July to have that, have some information? We'll put that back on the agenda on the second meeting in July. Also, we have another item that I'd mentioned to the Personnel Board. They've made some recent changes there and told them that we are looking to create a job in parks, a person that may be talented and can help us in sporting and planning and even some of the administrative work, not just the work there. Council has kind of given the okay, and I will bring that back once we actually identify a job description and title. And hopefully we can start looking. If y'all know anybody looking that would be interested in that type of work, by all means, tell them to contact us and we can get them in touch with the Personnel Board or create the job to fit their skills, you know. That's all we have under discussion and consideration. H, that's right, we did, Jason. I'm glad I got you right here tonight. You helped out a lot. We have some bids regarding trees. Travis, you may want to come up tonight.
What about the trucks? Skipping it.
Yeah, that's,
after H.
yeah, that's,
Okay, well, I had.
That's
bids
coming
at
back
the
to
bottom. I
resolution.
had bids at the bottom.
do you have the bids?
He's got some and I have some.
That way we won't take as long to open them. We go open the first one, it's gonna be for 173 East Bayou Avenue and First Street. Both ones in there, you just gotta open it.
Okay.
It's the right one.
Travis, this is one that we've worked with the power company on, I think, trying to get some help on some of those lines that we got a bunch of trees in.
Yes, sir. I actually was supposed to meet with the power company, Monday before all the weather turned loose and they had to cancel to go to North Alabama because they were needed up there. Either way, it needs to be addressed. The mayor and I looked at it. It's actually a danger, so, just want to take care of it.
But this 173 East, when you talking about?
There's actually nothing that can be done until the power company says the power line has no power on. That's really what we're waiting on.
Okay. All right, well, the bid I got on 173 East Bayou, First Street is for the oak tree itself is $2,450, $200 grind to stump, and that's from Reed's Tree and Lot Service.
I have Hamco Tree Service, same address, 173 Bayou Avenue East. Cut and dispose of one dead water oak, $3,326.
So Reed's is the lowest there with $2,450. And like I say,
Or maybe 2650.
yeah, $2,650 total with grinding the stump.
But they both want something in writing from the
Right.
power.
Well, they've got to be out there when that's de-energized anyway.
Our company might even help a little bit with the trimming the limbs around that, you know, if you talk to them. They got people in Satsuma right now doing some trimming. All right, the second one is 67 Orange Avenue East. This is a good one here. One live oak tree, $8,000. Trimmed a stump, $450. And that's from Reed's Tree and Lot Service. What's yours?
Cut and dispose of one large live oak, $7,000. That's Hamco. And then if you want to grind the stump and dispose of the excess cuttings, it's an additional $1,500 for a total of $8,500.
And Reed's is a total of $8,450, $50 difference. Travis, you looked at this tree too. You want to explain it to them? Because that thing's what, about 8 foot in diameter?
From my understanding, both, tree service, Reed and, Amber, they're saying that the tree is totally healthy. But the concern was with the homeowner not being able to see banging out. The tree is actually 300+ years old. So that's probably why the bid is so high, because they really don't want to touch it.
It's so big.
It's huge.
It's tearing up the road and you can't see to pull out your drives. And then the power lines, like you say, running all through it.
Is it in the right of way?
It isn't right away. But their thing was the tree's been there 300+ years. Why complain now?
Who said that? Oh, the tree company. Oh, well, I mean,
I mean, like they said, the tree is actually healthy, but, the homeowner, where the tree is, it's actually blocking the view from traffic. Bigger the city grows, the more traffic on these streets. So, I see the concern both ways.
do we need,
Leave it up to you all. That's a lot of money.
Maybe y'all'd like to go look at them.
I was gonna say, can we just do the one danger tree tonight and then review the other tree at the next meeting?
Yeah, I mean, even the one, like Jason said, it's got the lines going all through it. We've got to get the power company out here to give us
But that
something to
one's,
let us know. Yeah,
that's a
the first one.
hazard tree,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. We'll do that one at least,
That's
in my opinion.
67 East Orange, but right down the road, you won't have no trouble seeing it.
Yeah.
I guess we can vote just to accept the bids tonight, and then
You don't accept the one for the big tree too, or you're
No.
going to hold that?
We can accept them for both, we don't have to issue them.
yeah, we don't have to award it,
Just go accept the bid.
No, you can do that.
just accept them from the two companies that would contact. All right, well, thank you, Travis, for getting bids from at least a couple of companies, so, and prices are pretty close. All right, can I get a motion to accept the bids that came in regarding the trees tonight?
I'll make a motion to accept the bids.
Second.
Mr. Phillips made a motion to accept the bids and regarding the tree removal, and Mr. Butler seconded it. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by aye. Okay. All right, thank you. Thanks again for pointing that out. Now we'll move to resolution ordinance, orders and other business, and I think this is where you were referring to, Mr. Phillips, Resolution 2023-06-02. This is authorizing the purchase of two vehicles, which are trucks, for the city of Satsuma off of the state bid list. Our intentions are to put one in Public Works and one in building inspections. So with that being said, we're going to try to get them on the state bid list, and we do realize that it may take quite some time to get them in, but at least we're going to be on the list and try to get that moving forward. So is there any discussion? If not, can I get a motion to?
Mayor, do I need to call out the prices of these trucks?
Well, the only reason I hate for you to call the prices, we buy them off the state bid list.
Okay.
And, I mean, I don't know that we can get them this year, and I'm not sure that, you can tell them what the state bid list is now, that way they'll know at
Right,
least
just so
close.
everybody knows, the price for one F-150 Super Cab four-wheel drive pickup is $40,872. And then one 2023 Ford F-150 two-by-four pickup, $37,453. And I'll put that in form of a motion.
Okay, just, that's the approximate cost of the vehicles, but I mean, it's, like I said, it's subject to change with availability or if we can get them off of this year. But I do think we need to get on the list. Okay, Mr. Phillips has made a motion on Resolution 2023-0602, which is in your packet regarding the vehicle purchase. Can I get a second from the motion for the resolution?
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Phillips, seconded by Mr. Skelton, to approve Resolution 2023-06-02. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Okay, the only thing I know that we went past is Ms. Lisa there wanted to address the council on one other matter, and I think we went on past it earlier. But before we go into executive session, would you like to come forward and tell the council?
I was going to speak about the limbs on Hartley Road that people are putting in the ditches, and that really does not help Travis and his crew. Is there any way to communicate with people? Please do not put your limbs in the ditches.
Well, that's a good idea. Maybe we might need to put that on our website. Maybe Mr. Emmett will be kind enough to mention that please do not put leaves, limbs in the ditches and all, because yes, it does cause problems. But I thought you were wanting to speak, you said, to the council regarding the stop sign on Hartley Road at North Hummingbird. Well, you can tell them what you tell me all the time if you'd like tonight. Ms. Ketchum does not like the stop sign there. And she thinks it's not being enforced and not doing any good.
Race down Hartley Road, and so they stop and they spin out and take off. Hummingbird, and they wake you up out of a dead sleep. So, I mean, people have children that are sleeping. I mean, it's a nuisance more than anything. And a lot of people just don't even stop.
We had coalition on our front porch talking about this with us. He was sitting there, man stopped and took off toward Baker Road. He just about jumped off our porch, and he fell on the floor, kept him at Baker Road. We said, that's what we're talking about right there. He had been there 15 minutes, while they stopped, they take off, that's the place to stop and start.
Okay.
And they don't leave and start off slow.
Right.
And he saw what we're talking about while we were sitting there
And
talking.
it's a noise problem, I mean, it really is. I know we're not gonna check decibels or not, all that, I know we don't have the sonic, I know that. But the matter of stop signs, I mean, it's better if they just go straight through to Avondale and stop versus squealing off, going to Avondale and squealing off again. So one squeal's better than
Troy, could you please ask that we continue to try to make a little stronger enforcement in that Hartley, Avondale area over there?
But the request is still there to remove the stop sign.
They have to make up that time, they have to stop, try to get to Baker Road.
We,
One or two times a day. That's all day long.
we will put that on a future discussion at the council if you'd like us to, maybe a workshop one night regarding the stop sign, but it is an ordinance, so I mean, it's not just where I can just tell them, go take it down, like, it's not quite that simple. So, hopefully we can do some other measures in that area. Thank all of you for coming tonight. We're fixing to go into executive session. We will be in executive session for approximately 15 minutes. I will have to ask for that to be in the form of a motion in just a minute. But when we come back, most of the time the meetings are over. We adjourn right after that. I do thank all of you for coming, but
I would like to say that if there is something on that property, if there's something missing, I'll go rope it all, make it secure tomorrow. You know, they still do man on this. But I do have a concern that so many people's going on a posted piece of property. I just wanted to say that.
okay.
It is posted.
Thank you, George. But with that being said, executive session for a 10 to 15-minute period to discuss some legal matters and good name, character of a person. Can I get a motion to go into? I got a motion. Can I get a second? Motion made and seconded. We go into executive session. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, we'll be in about 15 minutes. It's time is 7:43, so roughly 8 o'clock.